Sorry. I had to see a chiropractor after all that tonal whiplash. The Book of Clarence is set in 33 AD Jerusalem and follows a down-on-his-luck Hebrew man named Clarence, played by Lakeith Stanfield, who sees an opportunity at getting rich when Jesus comes into the city and is hailed as the Messiah. Not believing him to be legit, Clarence decides to cash in on Jesus' popularity and present to the city as a Messiah figure himself. Prior to watching this movie, I only saw a few 30-second ads for it on YouTube, so I went to the theater not entirely sure as to what exactly I'd be in for, whether this was going to be historical satire or historical fiction. And now having seen it, I still don't really know which it's supposed to be. From the first 10 minutes or so, I thought, okay, this isn't meant to be taken seriously. This is intended to be kind of a throwback to Monty Python's Life of Brian. The dialogue is clearly not the way that people in this time and place spoke. For crying out loud, it contains an utterance of the term mother effer. And the Hebrew folk are all played by African Americans, which I take to be poking some fun at the casting of white people in older movies that have a similar setting, because why not? It's about as accurate. Fair enough, that in itself is kind of amusing. But the thing is, the comedic element accounts for maybe half the movie. The rest of it plays practically like a serious period drama, which does not at all gel with the Monty Python-esque atmosphere that it's going for. Life of Brian was set at the time of Jesus and was about a fictional average Joe who is constantly confused for the Messiah, which gave us a very funny satire on organized religion and the habit of seeing spirituality in every little thing. The Book of Clarence is more half and half with fictional people and biblical people, and I really don't get what it's going for with any of them. Now, Clarence, obviously a fictional character, is written to be the twin brother of the disciple Thomas. Get it, Clarence Thomas? And likewise, he's written to be a skeptic who doesn't think Jesus is for real. He starts by applying to be the 13th disciple, and when that doesn't work, he moves on to just posing as the Messiah, and in doing so, more biblical figures get involved, and the choices that are made with them are so bizarre. A major supporting character in this movie is a certain figure from the gospel story. It's probably the very last person that you're thinking of. Wait for it. Barabbas. Yeah, the prisoner who was pardoned in exchange for Jesus. In this movie, Barabbas, played here by Omar Sy, is a powerful gladiator whom Clarence frees from slavery by the Romans and then accompanies him on his quest for glory. It's drastic rewrites like this that have me scratching my head thinking, why did you bother including these people at all? The thing with Life of Brian is that it was minimal in its inclusion of real-life individuals. Heck, Jesus himself is barely in that movie, which is why I think it's quite unfortunate that back when it came out, many Christian groups missed the point and just called blasphemy. Even when Jesus was there, it didn't depict him in any demeaning or embarrassing way. The only person from the Bible who had any substantial role in that movie was Pontius Pilate, and while it did get him in on the comedy, he was still the governor of Judea, as in reality, it didn't write him to be the founder of the PFJ or anything. Now, Pilate is in this movie as well. He's played here by James McAvoy, wearing unsightly eyeliner, and it does keep him in the position that he was in real life, but there are still plenty of other people who are given baffling treatment. Another one of the supporting characters is Mary Magdalene, played by Teyana Taylor, and here, she takes the role of the unfaithful woman whom Jesus saved from getting stoned to death. She wasn't, though, so I don't get why she is here. Maybe it's because of the common unbiblical portrayal of Mary Magdalene as a prostitute, I really can't say. In fact, that scene kind of epitomizes a number of things that are wrong with the movie. Like, for one, just how sporadic the comedy is. Because in what is otherwise played as a serious moment when this group of people are ready to stone Mary Magdalene, we get the risible image of these people all in sync with one another, brushing their robes aside to reveal their bags full of rocks, as if they were a posse of cowboys. And what happens next is, another character named Elijah rushes in and shields Mary Magdalene, and the people there actually do start pelting them with rocks. Until finally Jesus appears, and he freezes the rocks that are currently being thrown in midair and then drops them, and he proceeds to give a speech that includes his famous words, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." A little late, aren't we, Jesus? I think you mean to say, "Let he who is without sin cast the 101st stone." This scene also demonstrates how aimless this movie feels in its artistic decisions, because Jesus has 2 or 3 scenes before this, and each of them keep his face hidden from the audience's view, which anyone would figure is a simple homage to Ben-Hur. But then in this scene, midway through the movie, Jesus removes his hood as he's talking to Mary Magdalene, and we see his face clear as crystal. Now, if he had finally revealed his face to us in front of Clarence, in a moment when he realizes that Jesus is the real deal, that'd make more sense. But as is, it feels like half-hearted direction. I have to get a bit more into spoilers here too, but trust me, it's not worth seeing the movie first. So Clarence gets arrested and put on trial for imitating the Messiah, and he's eventually crucified for it. You know how Life of Brian, being the honest-to-God comedy that it is, ended with all those guys on crosses whistling and singing about looking on the bright side? Imagine if instead that movie ended more like Passion of the Christ. That's what you get here. Well, okay, it isn't on the same level as The Passion, but it's definitely somewhere between The Passion and the Jesus film from 1979. Same year as Life of Brian, I just realized that. Even yet, though, this whole gruesome, dramatic third act is interrupted by a single comedic gag. It involves Benedict Cumberbatch as another individual who takes on the conventional appearance of Jesus, and he gets mistaken for another Messiah impersonator. He winds up on a cross next to Clarence, and he notices that someone on the ground is making a painting of him. Now, that in a vacuum is kind of funny, but in the midst of such a gritty and bloody sequence, it's just alienating. Just how tonally confused this movie is extends even into the soundtrack, where it teeter-totters from a Middle Eastern sound to a hip-hop beat. To reiterate, I don't necessarily have a problem with religious satire. As a Christian myself, I can take a joke. But this movie is unwatchable because of its inability to commit to being a comedy. It went on for 2 hours and it felt like 3. The tonal shifts are beyond jarring, and all the rewriting of biblical aspects is just strange. I don't know what it wanted to be, I don't know what it wanted to do, I don't know what it wanted to say. It's a misguided mess. Scoring on the Factor Facts, I'm going to give the Book of Clarence a 24%. That's a wrap, thank you for watching, I hope you found this review helpful. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture, I'm Alex Pop.